Welcome back. Tonight we're going to cook a very simple meal because sometimes you're in a hurry and you've got to have something quick. This is probably something that you've already had. Many of you have different names for it. This one happens to be called barbecue. When I first saw it, I had no idea what it was. It just said barbecue. There's not much, there's actually one line of directions to cook it. Not much to go on. So this is in another one from our book, Searchlight Cookbook. And this one comes from a Mrs. Wilma Bath from Astoria, Illinois. The one thing we did learn from this is there were 2 other recipes almost identical to this one. So this is a popular meal. And it turns out it's Sloppy Joe's, or let's see, this one calls it a hamburger barbecue, and this one just calls it barbecue. The other one's called Sloppy Joe's. The one thing I did learn from reading these is that there's only 2 ingredients that seem to be consistent, and that's the ground beef and chili powder. Was it chili powder? Let me make sure. Yep, chili powder. They all have those 2 ingredients. From there, everything gets a little slightly different, and that's the whole thing. This is very versatile. You can fit it to your family, and it can be served many different ways. So it doesn't take long, so we're going to prep our food, brown our meat, and we'll be ready to go. So we're going to get started. This one we're going to start. We have 2 pounds of ground beef we're going to brown up in our pan, but before we do that, we're going to chop some vegetables to put in there. This one calls for onions. It calls for 2 onions. It doesn't say what size onions. It doesn't say anything. If your family doesn't like onions, you can use onion powder. Again, like I said, it's pretty versatile. You don't have to. I'm going to use 1 onion, and in ours, this is the only vegetable it calls for, that onion right there that needs to be chopped. I'm going to chop up some green pepper and put it in there, and we like our food spicy, so we're going to add hatch chili that I cooked in the oven earlier. So we're going to go ahead and cut this up. We have some fries cooking that are done, so I'm going to turn the oven off and leave them in there to stay warm. And we're just going to chop this up. You're cooking this for your family. It's not perfection, because I like to saute the onion with the meat. Start the meat and then throw in the onion to saute with it, and I like the green pepper in there with it. Doesn't take long. I just slice it down one side. Don't cut your fingers. You'll need them. A lot of you may know that you can make Sloppy Joe's from a can, which is great. But the next time you go to the store, check the side of the can and see what's in it before you make it again. So it's a quick alternative. This is a slightly healthier alternative. I need a bigger knife for this one. I'm going to have to chop this up. Yeah, I roasted these in the oven when I got them, because we were out propane. Still haven't got propane. Now I'm going to cut up the green pepper. Now not going fancy. It's just rough cutting it. You can cut it however you want. And the nice thing about this, if your family doesn't like green pepper, don't add it. If they don't like onion, don't add it. If you want to add something, but they don't like any of these vegetables, use some onion powder, some garlic, anything like that. One of the recipes actually calls to put butter in the pan while you have your ground beef in there.
Butter.
I think, yeah, butter. Everybody's favorite. Butter. I think I'm gonna forego because I think the meat has enough grease in it.
Yeah, but butter adds flavor.
You can do that if you want. I'm talking healthier.
That's why you put it on steak.
Okay, 2 pounds.
That's a mess of meat.
Yes. Break it up. You can, if you suddenly realize you didn't take anything out, you have to cook the dinner and you wanted to make something quick, you can even cook this from frozen. You just take the chub of meat, throw it in the oven. It's just my dog's early alarm system for a bug outside. And just keep rotating and scraping the meat off. So you don't have to wait for it to be 100% thawed in order to cook it. Or put it in the microwave, thaw it out, and throw it in your pan. I had pre-thawed this, so thawed is going to cook a little bit faster as soon as my burner heats up. Purple flame going under there yet?
Okay, we'll be back as soon as the ground beef is put on.
As soon as the ground beef starts cooking.
Cut.
Okay, so our meat is started cooking and it's almost done. Not quite. It's still got a little bit to go, but before that finishes, I'm going to grab the vegetables. Like I said, put in, this is the only part that's part of the recipe, is the onion. Pour it all in there. Oops.
Yep, too late.
Oops, sorry. Mix it in with the meat. Cook this up a little bit. You just want to cook all the pink out of your meat. There should be just enough oil in your meat here to cook your vegetables. Take them up. Okay, on the recipe thing, super simple. Like I said, one line. It says pre-cook the meat. Then the next step, the directions say pre-cook the hamburger. Drain, which I don't know if we will have to, and add the rest of the ingredients and then just let it simmer. That's it. Those are the instructions. This is why I wasn't quite sure it was a sandwich until I started cooking it and adding the rest of the ingredients to it. And once this is all brown, we are going to add ketchup, brown sugar, Worcestershire sauce, chili pepper, flour, and water.
Worcestershire.
Hardest word to say. So it's starting to cook. You can actually put your vegetables in first if you want, and then add the meat. Just depends on how tender you want your vegetables. If you add it second, they're not going to be as tender. Add it first, they will cook faster. Okay, so now we're going to get the ingredients we need for the sauce. Okay, there's not any oil. That's apparently was a pack of lean ground beef, so there's no oil in there. Some water, but no oil. Okay, so we start at the top, and we're going to add 1.5 teaspoons of chili powder. I have chili powder, and I have 1.5. Fits. This is all in the recipe. I'm not adding extra because I like it spicy. And then it says 1 cup of ketchup, or ketchup, or whatever you want to call it. Measuring that. Ketchup. Oh, yum. And 1 cup. Oh, good. I didn't need the other one. Oh, the onion is already in there, and 1/2 cup of brown sugar. This is where I have to use a substitute. My husband can't have the sugar, so we're using Splenda, and this calls for 1/2 cup of brown sugar. That's regular brown sugar. If you're going to use Splenda, we found that it's a lot stronger in sweetness taste, so you're going to half it. So it'd be 1/4 cup, and I wouldn't even pack it in here because it's so sweet.
I hope it's half.
It's half.
Not.
So I'm just loosely putting that. So there I got 1/4 cup that I'm going to add to that. I'm going to stir this up a little bit so my meat doesn't burn to the bottom. 3 tablespoons of flour. Pretty sure this is going to be to thicken it up. In a little bit, we're going to add some water. 1, 2, 3, and 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire. This stuff.
Fish guts.
Pretty much, yeah. That's what it is. Stir it again. Turn it down a little bit. It's looking kind of thick, but don't worry, we still have another ingredient. 1 left. 1 cup of water. I'm going to go ahead and use this. 1 cup of water. Okay? Stir it all together nicely. No, try not to spill it. Kind of just like our casseroles. 1 pot meal. Okay, and then you're just going to let it heat up. Let it boil a little bit. Turn it down. And let it simmer until it thickens up to where you want it. Get that on low. It should simmer down. And that's all we have to do to that. And then as soon as it's ready, we're going to put it on our buns. And this is where you can also
Sounds
change
kinky.
up. Yeah. Put it on our buns. No. We have our buns. You can toast them. This is when you want to, you can probably get them ready, toast them up. It doesn't take that long. Some of the recipes say let it simmer for 30 minutes. In those recipes, there's a lot more water in there. This one only has a cup. One of the other ones actually calls for seasoning. Let's see, no. Water in both. Vinegar in one. But that's the only change in the water. They use vinegar instead of water. I have never tried that. But we'll post all the recipes and you can decide which one you want to try. There was one other one that I'm not going to put on there because we are going to cook that one and it's still like a sloppy joe, but it's slightly different. So I didn't add it.
It's a sloppy Joseph.
Yeah. So we'll be back in a few minutes and we're going to let that simmer for about 10 minutes and see what happens.
We'll be back.
Thickened up. So we are ready, and we're just going to take this to the table. Since it's just the 2 of us, you can pre-make the plates if you want in the kitchen. Might be
Good shot,
easier.
so I can get a snapshot. Okie doke.
Barbecue. And got the buns. And we like a little sliced cheese on ours. Like I said, it's family versatile. You do whatever, do it however you want. Overcrowded my plate there. Okay, so I'm gonna put this sloppy Joe. Remember, it's a sloppy meal. Meant to be sloppy. Don't put your evening gown on and sit down for dinner. You won't be happy. The dogs think we're gonna drop some. So let's see how this tastes. The only substitute that we used in the recipe was the sugar. Other than that, everything is pretty much the same, and we only added the chilies and the pepper. Still sweet. That's pretty good. See? Messy. Ew.
So no Domino's tonight.
No Domino's, no Pizza Hut, no Burger King, none of the above. Quick, easy fix. One pan again, not quite casserole, but one pot. Easy cleanup. Makes great leftovers too. So, and if I can cook it, so can you. Good and healthy.
And cut.